I'm not sure how this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. This is Tommy Jordan. Um, I guess in this case, I'm coming to you as a Stanley County Commissioner because this topic keeps coming before my board as a Stanley County Commissioner. Um, I'm just telling you my thoughts um, as a human being who happens to be one of the seven and currently elected to vote on the topic of solar farms. So we currently have a solar farm project coming back up before our board again in a week or so. I think it's the same company that's been up before us now two or three times, Ecoplex. And here's a little backstory. You know, it came up, it got shot down. It came up, it got shot down. The county and a bunch of concerned parties got together and said, "Hey, let's come up with some solar ordinances that can lay out the rules for what we're going to allow for solar farms in our county." Okay, so we did. If rumors should be believed, and I believe in this case it probably is, we have the strictest solar farm ordinances, at least in our state, maybe in more states, but at least in our state. Um, some of those ordinances are ridiculously tough. And to be honest, they were totally written with the intention of being an ordinance that would kill solar farms in our county entirely. And the people's hope for that is if they make the ordinance so tough that no one could possibly want to spend the money and go through the effort to meet the requirements for that ordinance, then the problem goes away. I mean, that's how the ordinances were drafted, and for the most part, that's how they were approved. I made one revision to them, a requirement about fire hydrants, which was just nuts. But other than that, the ordinance is pretty much intact. So now we have a solar company who has said, "Hey, if we were to meet all of your requirements, can we come back to the board and get a vote?" I said, "I don't see why not. I mean, if you're going to jump through every single hoop our county will laid out, and those hoops are harder than any other hoops anywhere in the state, I don't see why you don't get a shot." And every time we get a solar ordinance come up, I'm sorry, every time we have a solar farm uh, project come to the table, we get hit with the same emails. And it's not always from the same people, but it's from a select type of person. I'm not picking on anybody when I say this. It's just there's a certain type of person that sends these emails because they're all about the same general thing. Um, and there's a lot of myth running back and forth, and a lot of just pure junk that people scraped off the internet that is not true. Solar farms kill bees. Solar farms kill sheep. Solar farms kill deer. Solar farms pipe radiation to the ground. Solar farms are dirty. They're not dirty. I had a guy say, "What are they cleaned with?" They're clean with distilled water, which is actually cleaner than the rainwater that falls on top of them the rest of the time. They're not dirty tech. Now, I don't argue with you that that they're totally subsidized by um, government dollars, and if it were not for those incredible subsidies, they wouldn't exist. It's probably true, but I think solar technology itself is a good thing. And if you want to if I'd love to have it on my house. Unfortunately, it would cost around 40 grand just to offset the cost of my hot water heater, so I haven't done it. Um, I've got some panels I play with in the backyard. I mean, I've done solar stuff myself. I'm an IT engineer, so I play in that field and dabble as a hobbyist. But the issue that keeps coming up from people is I don't. I want you to vote no for solar farms because I moved here, or I grew up here, or whatever the situation. Whatever the situation. God, I can't talk today. I moved here or grew up here, and I don't want my view ruined. Therefore, I would like you to vote against solar farms. I can't fathom that argument. And I'm not being belligerent or mean to anybody. I'm being honest. I cannot fathom that argument. Because what you're saying is, and people don't want to admit that, but here's the truth of it. A company comes to me and wants to put a business on my land. And here's my land. All right, cool. You're going to put a business here and you're going to pay me a ton of money every year for it. Way more money than I make on that land now, by the way. And my family can have it for like the next 30 years. It's guaranteed money for 3 decades because nothing else I've ever done in my entire life is guaranteed money for 3 decades. In fact, the only thing I've ever signed that was going to be for 30 years is a mortgage, and that took money for 3 decades. You want to come here and put a business on my land that's going to pay me for 3 decades. And if I'm the landowner that owns that land and say yes, okay, that's my land. I bought that land. I own that land. If I put a pig farm on it, you'd have no vote. If I put a giant billboard on it, you don't have a say. If I decide to open up a midget porn and cream corn wrestling facility, you have no say. I mean, but a solar farm, people jump up and all of a sudden say, I don't want that to happen. I don't want to look at it. You're not telling, and the funny thing is, they're coming to us. You're not telling us you don't want a solar farm for whatever the myriad of fake reasons are. What you're telling us is you want us to tell that landowner that they can't do something totally legal on their land. That blows my mind. I wouldn't dare go to my neighbor and be like, you can't have a koi pond. Why the hell not? I don't like fish. You can't have a koi pond. I want to see pretty green grass in your yard. I want to look from my property onto your property and see what I want to see. Okay? That's what I want. So you should do that. You would get laughed out of the neighbor's yard. I mean, why? There are plenty of valid arguments, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to see what that guy is going to do on his land to make money for his family. That one is beyond me. I don't know how to reason with someone when that's their argument. And again, I'm not being mean, I'm being honest. I don't have a comeback for that because I can't fathom why someone would feel that way. I would never feel that way. I would never say, hey neighbor, I don't like your fence. You need to take that down. I don't have a fence, and he don't have a fence. You can't have a fence. When I moved here, this was all green grass, and I like the green grass, and that's what I want to see. Green grass. Take your fence down. You never do that. Why do people want to legislate what other people do when it's not their property? I can understand certain situations. You don't want a giant loud factory that you have to hear with clanging metal and putting off soot next door all day, every day. Okay, valid argument. I grant you that. That would bug me too. You don't want a car dealership to open up next door to you. Okay, that could be too. I'll use me for example. There is a spot of land in front of my property between me and the road that is beautiful hay pasture every year. 2 farmers beside me lease that land. And it was owned by the Hatley family. It may still be. And rumor came about 6-7 years ago that where it is, they're going to put a Citgo station on that corner. I went through the roof. You're going to put a gas station in front of my house? Now, did I yell at the landowner? No. It's his property. Why would I do that? Why would I go? You can't put a gas station here. It's going to drive our property value down. I can't do. I mean, that's just dumb. I went to my wife and said, if that happens, we're selling this house and moving. That's my solution. If I don't like what somebody else does with my property, the only answer is don't have my property beside their property. I can't decide what they do. So I would just choose to leave. I don't know another argument for that. I personally don't care either way if a person wants a solar farm on their land or doesn't. If it's their land and they want one, I have no elected reason not to give it to them. Now, I can impose my personal beliefs, which, while I do believe the people of Stanley County did elect us within certain decisions to use our beliefs to shape our judgments. I don't believe they did that for us to determine who could have a business on their property and who couldn't. I don't believe that's the intention or the spirit of the way we were elected. I believe, I just don't. I don't believe people want us to do that. I just believe people are coming to us because they either don't want to talk to the landowner, or they're not getting the answer that they want from the landowner, or they think nobody's going to find out that they're talking to us. I mean, God knows, it's the worst kept secret in Stanley County. We call each other and go, "Is your email start blowing up yet?" No, just prepare for it. They'll get to you next, and boom, here they come. I got 3 today. Same argument, same solar farm, same stuff. And I do appreciate the people reaching out to us. I do. Well, me specifically, I like when people engage with me and share their views, and I want to respond to them. I just don't know how to respond to them individually when it's the same view again and again. And I guess I'm trying this. And maybe this will backfire. I have no idea. In case you're curious, I haven't been kicked out of my house or anything. I'm in Morehead City today doing a job, and I'm in my hotel room. So I'm like, where is he filming that from? Yep, I'm in a hotel room in Morehead City, getting ready to wire the new town hall down here. So I can't figure out why people don't even want to come up for a vote. It is such a contentious topic. Commissioners are scared to touch it. I don't want to be the one to bring it up. Oh, I don't want to be the one to bring it up. Well, will you bring it up? I don't want to bring it up. It's whatever the topic is, whatever it is, it deserves to come to a vote. I mean, if it has any chance of passing, if it has zero chance of passing, fine. Don't waste the board's time. But when a company has spent significant hundreds of thousands of dollars to adapt a plan, work with engineers and architects and site planners and the county and planning and zoning and the fire marshal and the state office and the EPA and Duke and everybody else to adapt to these incredibly rigorous regulations that we laid out for them and jump through every hoop we put in front of them. We owe it to that company, I don't care what that company's business is, to let them make their presentation and vote accordingly. And we do not owe it to them to vote no because some guy doesn't like it, or this guy emailed me and said they don't like it. Does this guy and this guy and this guy own the land it's on? No. Are they? What's their complaint? They don't want to have to look at it. What? They think it's going to bring their property value down. That's actually never been proven, hardly to my knowledge, anywhere in the United States. It's another one of the wives' tales that flies up around solar farms. They think it's going to increase solar radiation and make the area hotter. No, it's not. You know what does that? Black asphalt parking lots, like Walmart and Lowe's and highways, but we have those. So I very much just don't understand. And maybe it's a failing on my part. Maybe it is. I'm not perfect. You guys elected me to the job that I'm doing, and for the most part, I think I've done a passable job. I've certainly tried to. I've got a few feathers that I can put in my cap where I've made strides that other people haven't, and I'm proud of those. But this particular topic tears us all up. It is something we all have to talk about. We all get hit with every time. We've had meeting after meeting after meeting on it, and I guess I feel like the people that have these questions and these comments deserve to hear just from human to human. If I had a commissioner hat, I'd take it off, but I don't. And in this case, I know that this is an issue that me, Tommy, does not have to deal with on a personal level. This is only me as a commissioner that has to deal with this. Because if it was me, Tommy, I'd be like, don't care, I'm out. But this is me, Tommy Jordan, Stanley County Commissioner, that's going to have to deal with this. So that's why I'm sharing my viewpoint with you, the general public at large. And I'm sorry that it's taking 15 minutes, but this is a fairly important topic. So you're going to have to hang out with me or don't, I suppose. But Now, I personally said, well, because I've asked this more than once. I said, you know what? I love solar technology. The idea is great. Now, it's not efficient yet. It's really not. It's really not very efficient yet, but apparently it's efficient enough to generate farms all over the place. I don't want a bunch of solar farms. I would never vote for 25 solar farms across Stanley County. In fact, I probably wouldn't vote for 12. A couple is one thing. I mean, in a county our size. Now, if this were Nebraska or Kansas and we had hundreds of thousands of acres of just rolling land with nothing on it but weeds, okay, sure, fine. But it's not. If a couple solar farms, I'm okay with on a personal level. We don't need 7 Walmarts, and we don't have them. We don't need 17 solar panel farms, and we don't have them. We don't need a Lowe's, a Home Depot, a Grainger, and a Northern Tool. Each community can safely and efficiently support X amount of something. And a couple solar farms, it's not bad for Stanley in the county, I don't believe. In excess, yes, it would be. And unfortunately, my first answer when this first came up was, I got a solution. And I told the solar company this. I told this to Orion. I told this to Ecoplexus. I told this to the planning board. I told this. In fact, I requested the planning board pass this on to any new solar companies that asked. I said, here's the problem. The few people that are in the West End that have to look at this don't want it. And they yell every single time one of you shows up. So why don't we tell the solar companies to go do something in the North End or in the East End or anywhere but the West End? I mean, for God's sakes, those people are so loud about this, even if I don't agree with their argument, they're going to give it to us anyway, that we should simply just tell them, don't put one in the West End. Why do we keep wanting to put them in the West End? And I was given an answer that made total sense. For a solar farm to work and be or to even exist, it has to be in near proximity to high-powered transmission lines. And the topography and stuff have to work for it. Well, in this case, those high-powered transmission lines are right there. That's where they want that's where they have to be, because that's where the lines are. So the only spots in Stanley County where solar companies want to be are the spots where surrounding landowners don't want them. But I go back to my previous argument. It's not your land. Why? You wouldn't yell if they decided to farm cotton instead of tobacco, or corn instead of sweet potatoes, or soybeans this year instead of corn. They have an opportunity as individuals to make a lot of money for a long time for their family, for their kids' colleges, for the next generation. I mean, if it was my dad and we had land that wasn't doing much, that we had a better opportunity to make. And I assume it's not making as much money as it would this way, or they wouldn't be offering it up to lease. No one's going to offer to lease their land for something that's not going to make them profit. So let's be clear. All the people that will be benefiting from this are significantly benefiting, or they wouldn't be doing it. They aren't just going, what the hell, I'm not using that back 150 acres. Yeah, put on it what you want. No, they're getting paid to do it, except they don't have to rent combines or buy equipment or pay laborers or deal with bad crop seasons. Or they just get to collect a check for leasing their land. And that is their right. I mean, that is the definition of the American dream. Not solar farmers in particular, but that right there, that is the definition of the American dream. To own some land and make some money on it, God knows it's recurring money every year for the next 30 years. And then to have me, as a commissioner, come and tell them, no, me and 3 of my buddies decided you can't do that. Why not? Is it dangerous? No. Is it illegal? Because I didn't know. No, it's not illegal. Is it noise polluting? Is it, what's wrong with it? Is it breaking a law somewhere? None of those things, sir. Your neighbor next door doesn't want to look at it. He likes the land there in your yard to be green, not coppery and cobalt colored. Apparently that's a thing for him. So they don't like what they're going to look at in your yard. I I can't possibly fathom wanting to tell someone that. And maybe that makes me a bad commissioner. I don't know. I hope not, because I like what I do, and I hope to get reelected, and I hope that that and I'm not saying we're all for solar farms. We're not. In fact, I mean, there's some of those commissioners that like the idea. There's some that don't. Um, on any given day in a perfect world, if it were a perfect environment where nobody else cared, except there was a landowner and a solar company, and they said, we want this, and not a single person complained, we'd still have a few commissioners that would say no, because I don't like solar. And that's okay. That's their prerogative. I don't think it's right, but it's their prerogative. I look at it differently. It is our job to create and approve the zoning laws and the planning laws and the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, the economic growth plans for Stanley County, and to set tax rates and to do these things to help the county grow. That is our job. It is not our job to tell someone you can't build your business there because I don't like it. No. I can tell someone you can't build your business there because it's in violation of the zoning ordinance, and we're not going to rezone that because of ABC. That's legit. I can tell them, we're not going to allow you to have this business here because it's against the law. Okay, great. Or, we don't want you to build an airport in the middle of Stanfield because that's obvious noise pollution. And the people have all spoke up and said they don't want that. And that's one I could, but this is a totally silent, still piece of equipment that doesn't even move. It just sits there and does this all day at the sun. It's just, give me sunlight. And then it makes power and it gets sold. I agree that the solar market itself is an oversubsidized, inefficient thing, but that's not my job as a commissioner. It's not my job that's not what we do. That's a deal for your federal legislators, your state legislators. Our job is to help Stanley County grow. And I would hate to think if it was me and I had an opportunity on, and I'll use some numbers here that, like a legit number. If I'm not mistaken, it's something like, is it $1,000 an acre a year? I think. I asked one time, I said, what does a landowner make? And the guy told me, he said, well, I can't tell you that. I said, well, I understand that. What is an average number that one could expect if he were being offered a lease from a solar company? He said, well, that I can tell you. Low end, 800, high end, $2,000. I said, okay, so from 800 to $2,000 per acre per, I think it's a year. It's got to be a year, it can't be a month. So a year. So let's just say you have 100 acres. And let's just say you're getting, for the purpose of simple conversation, 1,000. That's on the low end, but it's an even number. You're getting $1,000 a year per acre. You're not hiring any laborers. You're not paying any payroll. You're not even paying your property taxes because at least people are going to do that for you. You don't have to maintain it. You don't have to mow it. You don't have to weed whack it. You don't have to do a thing to it. You're going to make $100 for every one of $1,000 for every one of those acres for the next 30 years. That means you're going to make $100,000 a year for 30 years. I'm guaranteeing you an income for your family of $100,000 a year for 30 years. I'd go out in the street and fight somebody. We'd come fisticuffs if somebody told me it's perfectly legal, but you can't do it. Why? Because I don't like it. I don't care that you don't like it. It's not your land. And that's kind of my opinion. My true opinion is, and, I've heard this said by other commissioners, and I tend to agree with it. That I'm a property rights guy. I think owners should have rights on their property. So unless you're breaking the law or doing something that's against the law, you should be able to do it. Not you should have to ask permission for it. If it's legal and it's your land, you should be able to do what you want on it. You shouldn't have to come ask us to do it. We should only speak up and step in if you're doing something you shouldn't be doing or can't be doing. And I agree with that. So I'm stymied. I'm stymied and I'm confused and I'm coming to you as honestly as I know how. I mean, I'm telling you what I honestly got to think. I could never say all this in a commissioner's meeting because there's not enough time and we're on a clock. And our chairman hates when I ramble, and I already ramble more than the rest of our commissioners anyway. So, but that's my viewpoint on it, folks. I don't have to like solar farms. I don't have to be a big proponent of solar to want to grant someone the right to use their land the way that they want to. That's legal. And more importantly, I could never deny them that right because the guy that lives next door to them doesn't like how it looks. There's a solution for that. If you don't like how that guy's land looks, you should offer that guy enough money to make that your land, and then you can do on it whatever you want, or nothing. It can sit there and stay green, or you can pay taxes on it, or you can maintain it. But I don't know where you think you get the right to tell someone else what they can do on their property. I guess it comes down to that. And again, it doesn't mean that I'm pro-solar. It doesn't mean I'm anti-solar. It just means I'm pro-property rights. There's so many things that we're mad about right now with the government telling us that what we can't do this. So now my Republican side comes out. You can't own guns, you can't own magazines, you can't own this, you can't blah, blah, blah. Government telling people what to do is bad, but then you want me, the government, to tell people what they can't do with their own land? It is the same Gestapo tactic that we hate when people do it to us. But it's okay we do it to somebody else. That doesn't sit well with me. I'm sorry. And I hope I don't offend too many people, out there. But this is sensitive for our county, and it's important. And I want you guys to know where I stand because, it's a complicated, people like to make it a complicated issue. It's really not. But they like to make it a complicated issue. And it's been a big issue for a while now. And it's just, it's not going to stop. The letter editors aren't going to stop. The hate mail is not going to stop. So I wanted to have a candid conversation. And I've taken 28 minutes of your time to do it. And I'm sorry for that. I thank you if you're still here and you're still watching. And I hope that you think that following my conscience is the right thing to do. Because I feel like in some situations, as a commissioner, we are elected to simply, check boxes. Is it this? Is it that? Is it yes or is it no? And those days are easy. Those are easy days for us to do our job. Is it legal? Is it going to make the county money? Is it good for everybody? Yes, yes, yes. We all vote yes. But when is it legal? Yes. Is it good for the economy? Yes. Does everybody like it? No. Well, then we have to use our own judgment. Then our judgment as personal individuals comes into play. And we have to weigh the pros and the cons. And if the only con is other people don't like how it looks, I can't go to battle with that. I can't take that into a courtroom. Can't take that into, can't factor that in, into making a decision. And if I did that, I would be a horrible commissioner. If I had a friend that wanted to open a business and everybody else votes no and I'm pushing for it because they're my friend, I'm a horrible commissioner. You should fire me. I mean, or not elect me again. But, if you're doing everything you're supposed to do right, and you have opportunity to make money at it, and people just don't like it for whatever their own personal reasons are, I can't back those people. I've got to back the landowner. I mean, it's his property. Anyway, I've talked long enough. I'm probably repeating myself a dozen times over. I'm sorry for that. Stay safe, Stanley County. Have a good day, y'all.